Welcome back to this new inspirational video. Today I wanted to go on with chapter 5, titled Preparation, from the book The Science of Being Great. Now this will ultimately lead us into perceiving divine truth all around us and within us if we prepare our minds in the right way. Now Wallace started it out by saying, draw closer to God and he will draw closer to you. If you become like God, you can read his thoughts, and if you do not, you will find the inspirational perception of truth impossible. You can never become a great man or woman until you have overcome anxiety, worry and fear. It is impossible for an anxious person, a worried one or a fearful one to perceive truth. All things are distorted and thrown out of their proper relations by such mental states, and those who are in them cannot read the thoughts of God. If you are poor, if you are anxious about business of a financial matter, you are recommended to study carefully the first volume of this series, The Science of Getting Rich. Now you can find that on my channel, of course, with all sorts of additional information already. We finished that just recently, so if you haven't listened to it, I suggest you do, because it can help you out understand these principles from a different angle. And as he said, this will present to you a solution for your problems of this nature, no matter how large or how complicated they may seem to be. There's not the least cause for worry about financial affairs. Every person who wills to do so may rise above want, have all he needs and become rich. The same source upon which you propose to draw from mental unfolding and spiritual power is at your service for the supply of all your material wants. Study this truth until it is fixed in your thoughts and until anxiety is banished from your mind. Enter the certain way which leads to material riches. Again, if you are anxious or worried about your health, realize it is possible for you to attain perfect health so that you may have strength sufficient for all that you wish to do and more. That intelligence which stands ready to give you wealth and mental and spiritual powers will rejoice to give you health also. Perfect health is yours for the asking, if you will only obey the simple laws of life and live right. Conquer all health and cast out fear. But it is not enough to rise above financial and physical anxiety and worry. You must rise above moral evil doing as well. Sound your inner consciousness now for the motives that actuate you and make sure that they are right. You must cast out lust and cease to be ruled by appetite, and you must begin to govern appetite. You must eat only to satisfy hunger, never for gluttonous pleasure, and in all things you must make the flesh obey the spirit. You must lay aside greed, have no unworthy motive in your desire to become rich and powerful. It is legitimate and right to desire riches if you want them for the sake of the soul, but not if you desire them for the lusts of the flesh. Cast out pride and vanity. Have no thought of trying to rule over others or of outdoing them. This is a vital point. There is no temptation so insidious as the selfish desire to rule over others. Nothing so appeals to the average man or woman as to sit in the uppermost places at feasts, to be respectfully saluted in the marketplace, and to be called rabbi, master. To exercise some sort of control over others is the secret motive of every selfish person. The struggle for power over others is the battle of the competitive world, and you must rise above that world and its motives and aspirations and seek only for life. Cast out envy. You can have all that you want, and you need not envy any man what he has. Above all things, see to it that you do not hold malice or enmity toward anyone. To do so cuts you off from the mind whose treasures you seek to make your own. He that loves not his brother, loves not God. You know, I still felt like saying this, but when we talk about loving our brother, our neighbor, other people around us, we're of course not talking about the sort of love that you would have in a romantic relationship or when you're married to a particular person. Now, this is why so many people might unconsciously mock this concept of loving other people around you. They're like, why should I love them? Or perhaps we might even go as far as to say it's kind of weird for a man to love another man like that, because of our sexuality, our preference on that matter. But we're talking about goodwill and compassion. If we can hold compassion and goodwill to others, your life is going to transform in such a great way. And I know this from personal experience. Every time I touched upon this concept in my own soul, everything seemed to be blossoming into a better, more beautiful direction. But of course, it's also so easy to lose track of that mindset when there's so much chaos going on around us in the world itself, that we always have to be mindful of this approach to life. So if you start experimenting with this, to understand that when we say love your brother or neighbor, it means having compassion and goodwill to others, wanting the best for them as well. Even if they don't accept that, even if they don't care about you, or if they would accept what you share with them, we still want the best for them regardless. That is the sort of love and unity we're talking about here. I just felt like clearing that up in case some people might still find it like a strange concept in and of itself. A very interesting point he talked about is that envy. Many people actually are envious of others. Now, you might say that you're not an envious person. I might say it. Most people would say they're not. But you see, the thing is, if we ever catch ourselves looking at a rich person and then thinking to ourselves, why do they have that? It's already a form of envy, where we're actually sort of thinking about it from the angle that we think they don't deserve any of what they have. But you see, you can have wealth and success and greatness in your own way if you but open up your mind towards God. That is what this chapter is reminding us on how to do so. We have to get rid of all these negative states of mind. Now, that might be a great undertaking at first, depending on how long you've spent in negative thought. So you want to do it little by little if you have to, but one day you'll find that if you fill it more and more, your own mind, with positive uplifting thoughts and ambitions and desires and positivity and gratitude, well then the universe also can bring you more and more inspiration along that line on how to keep perfecting it, how to keep creating more and more of the good you desire. This is just so obvious the more we contemplate it for ourselves. The more positive your mind is, the easier it is to read the thoughts of God. That's what we're after. But the more negative it is, the harder it becomes, because we're operating from a place of limitation. Negative thoughts are like a concept of limitation that we believe is real. But positive thoughts are ones of expansion and fuller expression of what we desire and what we like and what we admire and what we want. You see the difference there? You have to make a decision for yourself which side you're going to pick. Now, Wallace went on to say that we have to lay aside all narrow personal ambition and determine to seek the highest good and to be swayed by no unworthy selfishness. Now, with this, what does he mean by this? Well, I think the best way to look at this is that we always have to ask ourselves, is my dream of benefit not just to myself but to others? Because we can have dreams of wealth and success, but be totally selfish in our pursuits. Now, to a certain extent, we'll always be selfish because we have to decide for ourselves what it is that we want. But we can always measure whether it's actually also beneficial to others or not. So you see, you can get wealthy, like some people, they try to get rich by doing all sorts of negative things, like robbing places, and then eventually get caught and go to jail. They might start selling drugs and get very wealthy. But at the same time, they're destroying the lives of the people that are addicted to the drug, for example. I mean, these are ways that you can get rich, but it's selfish with also very negative, effects that come along with it. So we simply have to consider for ourselves, is what I'm doing also positive for others? And if so, then you are on the right track. Then you know you're on the way to greatness, to something that can actually be of value to humanity for a long time to come. And you can do this in your own way with whatever goals you have. Just consider how you can be of service to others in a valuable way. Now, he went on in this final paragraph that we have to go over everything that's been said. These moral temptations must be put out of our heart, one by one, and determined to keep them out. Then resolve that you will not only abandon all evil thought, but that you will forsake all deeds, habits, and courses of action which do not commend themselves to your noblest ideals. This is supremely important. Make this resolution with all the power of your soul, and you are ready for the next step toward greatness. Now, that is where the chapter ends. As I said, many of these chapters are fairly small, but they contain extremely powerful concepts of the mind that we have to analyze for ourselves. So this is basically setting us up on the road for preparing ourselves to receive better and better things. All he's been mentioning here is that we have to get away from all the negative tendencies that we experience inside our minds. So you might be pessimistic at times, feel bad at times, but get away from it. Perhaps you can't get away from it instantly, or maybe it takes a bit of time, as we said before, but this is the work that you're called upon to do, because the more you embrace the positive, the more you focus your mind on God and all the positive things that are elements of God itself, the more your mind expands in that direction. If you just do this every single day, you're gonna start feeling better. Of course, at times you might still feel bad. I have that, everyone has, but at least the main theme of our lives has always to be one of expansion and fuller expression. That is, after all, the road towards greatness, and how we can inspire others to become great and go for their wildest dreams as well. Then we're all growing towards a better future together. Now, if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing to receive inspirational videos on a regular basis. And with that being said, dear viewer, never forget that we are the dreamers.